What up, Buckeye Nation? Welcome to the Scoop. I am Dev. That's Funky, and we are glad to be here, man. Got some updates for you guys. Several movements going on with Buckeye football right now, the scrimmage, couple updates on some recruiting, specifically the Brilen Womack recruitment that all us Buckeye fans are wanting to see. But more importantly for me, man, Funky, is we are getting super, super close to that day. And by that day, I mean the Ohio State Texas game, man. Kids are checking out of the hotel for fall camp, and it's getting closer and closer to that. But before we dive into that, Funky, how was your day, man?
Oh, what's up, Devin? I woke up feeling like a national champion today. And overall, I mean, the day's been great. It's a Sunday. It's beautiful outside, and I'm getting ready just like these kids are to, head to college and get ready for the new start of the semester, which marks the beginning of football season. So I cannot wait. We're 13 days out from game day. It's
Yeah.
great. It's a fantastic time for yeah. It's just great, and I'm really excited to watch Ohio State play some football again. And get after it versus Texas. Two of the best teams in the country. Couldn't really ask
Yeah.
for any more than that. So I'm
No.
excited, and I thank everyone for being here today. I'm excited to be here. So thanks for watching. It should be a great show.
Yeah, man, for sure. You guys know what to do. Hit that like button for us. Hit that subscribe button as well. Our super chats are open on the Buckeye Boys and the Buckeye Scoop side, man. They all go towards helping other people. So, we love to do that here on the Scoop channel. So we appreciate everybody that's watching, man. If you could do that for us, it's a big help. But let's dive right into it, man. We got the number one safety in the country, Brilen Womack. He's supposed to be committing on the 21st coming up here real quickly, like I believe that is the 18th, 19th. What's that? Thursday is his commitment. And the Buckeyes have been in the pole position for a while in this one. And then, of course, like several recruitments have went this cycle, Funky, and a lot of Buckeye fans are upset about this, man. When it's time to start talking about the money, about the nil, it seems like the Buckeyes start losing their momentum in the recruitment, and sometimes it's hard to look at them and not say rightfully so, and other times, you can look at it and be like, no, I like the structure they have. This is what it is, man. Well, we're getting down to it, man, and that's the question. A lot of Buckeye fans are wanting to know, just to put it up front, man, are the Buckeyes going to pay for Brilen Womack? Funky, what's your thoughts?
Well, earlier this week, we got word about possible conversation happening between Womax and Ohio State, and got confirmation of that today, where we realized that Braylon and Ryan Day and the whole entire Ohio State staff have been talking throughout the week, and there's been this sense of pressure building up within Ohio State to make a big push for Womack, uh, and that includes on the that the nil front. So they've been talking throughout this week to try to match what his family needs to 5 days before his decision for him to become a Buckeye. So there's going to be meetings scheduled in the future, and there's going to be a continued pressure by Ohio State, led by Ryan Day, to make sure that Womack's all his needs are met and he becomes a Buckeye. Uh, the Fong Bong predicted him to Auburn, and it's funny because 30 minutes after someone told me that Fong predicted him to Auburn, I just got some confirmation that made me feel more confident that he will not be going to Auburn. He'll be still, picking Ohio State. We'll know more in the future. We'll continue to dig as we get the final details on who's offering what's the contract Ohio State's offering, and et cetera, et cetera. But I really do still like Ohio State's chances with Womack, and I believe that we're playing a little more aggressively with the nil than we usually do, and that could be in the light of several things. But I just genuinely think Ohio State is prioritizing Womack as someone that you could don't really want to let up on. You want to put a lot of chips in, and you want to invest, and you want to uh, you know really lock in and get Womack into this class. So pretty excited for his commitment coming up, but only good news so far.
Yeah, for sure, Funky. I mean, we the Buckeye boys, me and Mello, we had a interview scheduled with them. I believe it was on Thursday. Yeah, and Mello made it known. The Womacks, close friends of the Buckeye boys here. We've had them on the show several times, so you guys know, man. You've heard them talk about Ohio State. You've heard them talk about everything they love about Ohio State. When I say you've heard them, I mean his dad, his mom, Brilen himself really wanted to be a Buckeye this whole time. They were supposed to come on the show, and we reported then that, hey, couldn't. Why? Contact with Ohio State, man. He had to deal with a phone call, so more confirmation there. But we're still working on that. The hopes are we'll see what happens, see if we can't get him on here and get an update. But as of right now, we know that the Buckeyes have not given up. And I think everybody know. I mean, it takes less and less explanation each time to try to tell you about the Fong bombs, right? I mean, these Fong bombs are all over the place. Now, that being said, I mean, we know the situation. We know how Ohio State handles nil. So it's just a question of, hey, man, does the recruit going to accept, that difference in the money from school to school? Auburn and Florida, they got the higher numbers out there, but Ohio State has the proven track record of development and culture and brotherhood and all those things, right, that we've heard the Womacks talk about. So we'll see, man. As Funky said, we will continue to dig and keep everybody as updated as possible. But a Fong bomb does not mean the end. Most recently, Aaron Thomas was Fong bombed. I forget where he was Fong bombed to.
Texas A&M.
Texas A&M, 24 hours before he committed. And over here on the scoop, they were saying, do not pay attention to that. Aaron Thomas is a Buckeye. Well, guess what happened? Aaron Thomas ended up being a Buckeye. So it goes either way, man. It's kind of a shot in the dark. When you dive into these recruiting things, you see more and more how a lot of these recruiting analysts, they don't have the time to keep up with recruits like smaller places that only focus on one school do. I mean, they got national recruits. So when they're getting information, it's a buddy texted him and let him know, hey, this is what's up, man. So, but either way, right, we've seen some recruitments go Ohio State's way, and we've seen them not. So we'll see. But Ohio State is not out of it. But moving on, man, to the subject that I'm starting to care more and more about, other than recruit the Buckeyes class at this point in time. I just can't help it because the Texas game is so close, man. They just named 4 captains, Block O. Let's go over them real fast. We got Brandon Ennis. We got Austin Sayreveld, Sonny Styles, and Caleb Downs, with Sonny Styles receiving the Block O. Sonny Styles, the Block O, has been predicted pretty much by everybody that covers Ohio State football, but we kind of saw that coming for a ways away. Caleb Downs, you could argue the same thing. Austin Sayreveld, I'm not sure if he was, always picked by Ohio State people, but he did win Iron Buckeye. But that doesn't always mean they're going to be a captain. And Brandon Ennis, man, I think he surprised a lot of people getting that. Didn't it so much surprise me with his vocal leadership and things that I've been told about him in the past. But man, those are the captains, and that is the Block O recipient, Sonny Styles. Funky, give us your thoughts on that, man.
Well, man, the helping technician had it nailed. He, funny enough, asked us the question. He said, "Who do you think you guys?" Or he asked us, "Who do you think the captains are going to be?" And he gave us his 4 quote unquote predictions. But turns out wasn't a lot of guessing from him. He nailed it on the head. Brandon Innes, Austin, Sonny, and Caleb. And yeah, I can't say I disagree with any of those captain picks at all. The only one that was a little surprising was Brandon. Not in any malicious way. It just was just a little bit surprising. Didn't go to. I mean, it could have gone to any of them. It could have gone to Cornell. It could have gone to JJ. Could have gone to, another person on the defensive position. It could have gone to a few other people, but they chose Brandon, and I love that choice. It just shows how big of a impact Brandon's been making and how much big of a leadership role he's been taking, because you can go all the way back to his SFE days. And Brett Getz has always said that all these guys looked up to Brandon. Like Brandon was the guy they looked up to, and it really shows when selecting him as a captain that other people look up to him, and just the big impact that he's going to have on this year's Buckeye team. Uh, Contrary to, I mean, that's almost an unpopular take to have at this point, that Brandon's going to make a big impact because the shiny new toys and Mylan or Quincy Porter or Jaden Ballard. People want to see them as well. But I really do think Brandon and Max Clare are going to have, unfound impact on this year's offense. And just going in on the other ones, I mean, Caleb doesn't really need to be said. He's clearly leadership. He's Captain Caleb. And then Styles, it's again, not much needs to be said about him. And he's probably the most surefire captain, being the block O, being he was an Iron Buckeye again. So I mean, he's bound for another massive year. And then the last one, Austin, we've heard all camp that Austin's that guy. All camp that Austin is just the best player on the offensive line. And people are, I mean, I remember early on in camp, we got word, Devin, and they said, if Donovan Jackson's a first round pick in the offensive line, then Austin 100% is. And at first you kind of blow that off and you're like, wow, that's interesting. But now we're getting closer and closer to, the season starting, and we're like, wow, Austin is going to be the left tackle on this year's Buckeye team. He's the best player, at least in pass pro, on our offensive line, and he's going to be out there protecting Julian Sain's blind side. So the staff really believes in this kid, this 3-star kid out of Ohio in his third year, his redshirt sophomore year as a Buckeye, going into his first full-time year being the starter, and he's going to be the left tackle. And I mean, as can't miss you can get. I mean, unless the Ohio State staff is just completely overvaluing him, which is highly unlikely in my opinion, then he's going to be an absolute stud for us, and I cannot wait. He's going to be the anchor of our offensive line, and I'm glad to see him get this recognition being a captain, because being captain isn't given to you, especially on this year's Ohio State team where there's so many people you can choose from. There are just so many leaders, so many high character guys. It's pretty insane.
Yeah. Yeah, man, I really like those phone calls that he had with the parents. It's nice that they let us in on that moment, us fans. It's a really cool aspect to see, man. And you mentioned the 3-star Ohio offensive lineman turning out to be our best offensive lineman that we have on the team. There's another one up and coming, man. Jake Cook got his black stripe removed. Fahim Delane got his black stripe removed. Nick McClarty, the 6'7" Aussie punter, black stripe removed. So there's a long list of guys, and that just shows you the dedication that this team has, the fire that this team has, because this team is different than last year. Right? And that's just not, I mean, that's what we're hearing. That's what we're seeing from multiple different people. It's different. And it's not that last year's team didn't have fire, but these are a bunch of new guys on the field trying to prove themselves. A lot of the players last year, they already had some proven, moments in their career that they could stand on. These guys, they don't have anything. So that creates a little bit different of a fire. Well, that's what we're hearing out of the scrimmage, man. There's a lot of confidence going into this Texas game, but there's a lot of questions from a fan perspective about this Buckeye team, right? If you're still there, number one, what's up with the quarterback? Number two, we're knowing there's a lot of motion in the offensive line. Number three, these aren't any specific order. Number three, defensive tackle depth. What's happening there? Number four, the safety position, right? And what is happening there? And we want to know how this team is going to come together, what identity they're going to be. Well, we got some updates from the scrimmage, towards all those things. The first one being, not really anything surprising, man. Funky, I'll start off with one and let you finish the rest. Funky had a beautiful piece on Scoop, man, yesterday. He put updates out about Julian Sain looking like Julian Sain, man. And we've said it. I've said it, on my shows several times. Julian Sain's the starting quarterback. That's what we believe. He's got the processing speed and the wisdom to go in there and do these things. Just lacks that experience. But with these tools around him, man, Julian Sain has just he's pulling away, and it couldn't happen at a more perfect time. But Funky, what else do you got for us as far as updates out of the scrimmage, man?
yeah, well, the first thing it's funny. I got this, small tidbit for someone at the scrimmage right after the scrimmage happened. Just literally I mean, at first it was
Yeah.
a few words, and it was just simply, yep, the offensive line run blocking looks really good. That was the first thing, and they said Jalen McLean looks really, really good, standing out. Uh, and uh, and Julian Sain's the starter. That was pretty much the small tidbits I had. So I just posted it as I got it, and all of a sudden, everywhere else you look for any scrimmage intel, it's a lot talking about how the run game really stood out. Oh, and they said Jalen McLean was the standout. So a little suspicious, 12 hours after the fact that everyone has the same information from the same guy. So just a little odd else, in the Buckeye community looking for, possible
Yeah.
plagiarism maybe. So, but they
Hey,
ignore
on that
that.
note, on that note, I'll say this real fast. It's they got these scrimmages locked down. Parents can't go. I mean, they're big time on locking it down this year. It's Texas. The first game is Texas. That makes Ryan Day pretty heightened on these things. So it is locked down. And if you were able to get information from that Buckeye scrimmage within 12 hours of that scrimmage, you got some people that know some things. So it was very rare yesterday to see any updates there, but I noticed the same thing, Funky. So, I said the quarterback, man, and moving on to the offensive line, a while back, heard a little something about Philip Daniels, and at the time, I thought it was Philip Daniels possibly taking Tegra Shabola's right guard spot, and that's just I was told. I was told to keep an eye. You know what I mean on Philip Daniels. The dude is a dog, man, and that's from the Scoop message board, from things that you've heard as well. So, what are you hearing right now on the offensive line?
I mean, you nailed a lot of it. I mean, Austin looks like we just saw, looks like the best offensive lineman on our teams. We're putting our best offensive lineman at the most important spot, the left tackle position. Looking like Luke Montgomery's looking very solid at that left guard position. Obviously, Carson is locking down that center position for, I mean, we can call it his third full year starting for the Buckeyes. And the right guard position, there's a lot of questions. There's always been a lot of question marks, at least in conversations between, me, you, and literally a lot of people educated within Ohio State. But I mean, it's looking like Tigra is shutting down all those conversations, and he's earning a
Mm-hmm.
spot. This is I was told that it was his most healthy, and they said they made sure to talk about his sicknesses and his injuries this entire offseason. So they said it's the healthiest he's ever been, the best off seasons he's ever had, and they brought up to me how he dealt with a lot of injuries last year, and they really think they're over those humps. And he looks like a different player. Looks more nasty, looks more physical, looks way better in the run game, holding his blocks a lot better than he did. He struggled with that. I mean, not to be that person, but he is was a really, really, really bad in that Week 12 matchup. In that 12th game of the year last year, and he was really, really, really bad. And I'm told this year he looks like a different player, and he looks real good, and no one's going to take his spot. So I fully expect to see T-Girl walk out there in the right guard spot. So now all eyes look on the right tackle. Because like you said, Phil Daniels has been getting talked about, praised all year. He just has been. But then you have that guy, Ethan, who you paid over $1 million to be your left tackle. So what do you do in this situation if you're Ohio State? And I don't think there's really a bad choice you can make, at least from what I'm being told. I don't think either of them are bad players. I think both are all starters. I think all three of them are better than Josh Fryer. And I think Josh Fryer was a very solid offensive lineman for Ohio State for multiple years. And I think all three of these guys are better than he was. So I don't really see a big issue on offensive tackle. I actually see it's going to be a team strength. And I'm here having to pick between Ethan and Phillips, who I think will start. And right now, my money's still on Ethan. And that's for the sole reason that he started at right tackle before. He started right tackle before versus Texas. And that he has that, lot of starting experience. And we paid him a lot of money. And that's kind of my thinking on
Yeah.
that. And I know people don't want to hear that, like, oh, we just want to play the best players. But the money matters. And I think that these guys are close enough where I'm gonna pick where the money is, and right now I'm picking Ethan to start at right tackle. But I would not be shocked at all if Phillips takes that spot. And either or, they're the offensive lineman number 6, which we know how important that is. I mean, last year we went to offensive lineman number 9. So if the 6th person will be used throughout the year. So I'm excited. We have a lot of
Yeah.
depth on the offensive line, but there's so many positive things. I mean, the run game they said was amazing. And to jump to another point, they said C.J. Donaldson was the star. C.J. Donaldson was the star. And if you guys have been listening to me since the beginning of the year, Devin, you know how high I've been on C.J. Donaldson, and
Yeah.
I was told since literally the first couple of weeks of spring practice, sorry, that he looks like a different player. Like he's cut a lot of weight. He looks faster. He looks like he's going to stay more injury free this year, and they're excited to see what he does. And I'm pumped too because I really do think it's me more of a 1A 1B situation with him and Peoples more so than people think. Because I mean, even some people on the scoop think CJ sucks, and then that's the truth. So that's a disagreement I have with some of the staff, which is totally fine. People can are right to their own opinions, but I'm Funky Buck is taking the stance that CJ Johnson's going to be a damn good player for Ohio State.
Yeah. Before I hit on the CJ stuff, back to the O line stuff, man. If you've watched, my shows long enough and what I come on here and say, I just tend to lean more towards the positive side of things because, when it comes to Ohio State football, man, they're just loaded with, brilliant coaches that want the best things for the kids. So that's just, I tend to lean that way. That's just how I'm wired. But, when I hear the Philip, Daniels and Ethan Anianwa has a battle, my mindset does not go to, oh, well, what's wrong with Ethan? Oh, well, this isn't good. It goes to, wow, man. So you're saying we have two starting, caliber tackles on the team right now that can flip flop back and forth if needed because they trained at left as well in the spring. And that gets me excited, man. That hasn't happened for a long time. I mean, last year we had it on the team, we just didn't know it. Well, this year they're making a bigger emphasis on it, so we know it now, man. If it's that close, what I've been told is it's not because Ethan is some bad player. It's because of the jumps that Philip has made, that mindset that he has. You got to remember he's a cousin to dang, who's his cousin again? Was it Paris Johnson? Is he? I'm talking about
I
Funky.
know exactly what you're talking about, and I'm blanking on the name. Oh, sorry,
the
now my
chat's
son could.
the chat's gonna know. Anyway, he knows what it takes to be a starting, offensive lineman at Ohio State. He's
It
had a
is
family
Paris
member do
Johnson.
it. So
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
kids,
yeah, Paris
Monica
Johnson.
Daniels. Yeah,
Yep. So, he's got that, man. He knows from, pretty close experience what it's like. And he's just being an absolute dog. So I love it, man. When we're talking about the offensive line, whoever it is at sixth man, our sixth man is a tackle for us. And then you go down to Josh Padilla and Gabe Van Sickle as well. Like those guys can play as well. And then, you go to the CJ Donaldson thing and you hear that he killed it. Right. And, I love it, Funky. You've been super positive on him as well. He came in a heavier back, and there's a pattern here with these Buckeye players that I really hope we can grasp as fans. And that pattern is Mick. That pattern is, our weight room body by Maradi. Mick, man, the impact that he has on this team is something that every year I understand it a little more and more. And every year I realize that he has a bigger part in this team than I even thought to begin with. And same with Ethan and Philip. He was integral parts in that. And this CJ Donaldson has been a huge part in it, man. A big old back. I always remind you guys of this, but we talked to 5 players, interviewed 5 players, all of them on the defense, and all of them said CJ Donaldson is the one person that they're not too fond to go up and tackle because they know it's going to be hard. So used to be wide receiver and tight end, now switched to running back. I think he's going to be a tool that Brian Hartline and Brian Day utilized this year way more than what people are realizing. So I'm excited to see what they do there. But Funky, when you hear, man, that the Buckeyes, right, the run game looks really, really good, does that make you nervous about any aspect of this Buckeye team as far as defense, right?
mm-hmm.
If the running game's going good, then you would assume that our O line is doing its job. And you can either take it one or two ways. Oh, that means our D line is struggling, or our offensive line is just simply doing their job, and it doesn't matter who's in front of them, they're going to do their job. Where are you leaning at this point?
It's the good old question. If the offense is doing good, that means the defense is doing bad. And in a scrimmage, there's always, if you're as Buckeye fans, always trying to find the negative and stuff. That that's a good. I mean, it's a good question, and it's hard for me to come up with a great answer to that. Uh, because this offensive line is very good, and this defensive line does have question marks. So, I mean, not to avoid the question, but I guess we'll just kind of have to see versus Texas. I mean, to be honest with you, but
Yeah.
I mean, I can't imagine Caleb's been too active in these practices. So it's just, and yeah, I think he's such an important part to this run defense. And even if he's, I'm sure Ohio State's not having Caleb, head on in these practices right now. They're letting him take a step off the gas pedal a little bit, maybe rotating a little more people in. So it's just really hard to really say, because run game is also something really hard to pick up in a scrimmage. That's what I've kind of realized. It just
Yeah.
is naturally. It's because the guys are being physical, but no one's smashing anyone. You're not supposed to, and you're trying to keep everyone healthy, upright. No one's trying to go at these linemen's knees and ankles. So it's really hard for me to say that. And I guess we really will have to see versus Texas. But one thing I will say is Texas has been banged up. They've been banged up. They've kind of dealt with what we dealt with last year with whatever the hands, foot, mouth disease, or whatever they call it. And that's kind of what they've
Yeah.
been dealing with this offseason. And uh, so we'll see how their offensive line is. I think their offensive line is not going to be nearly as good as ours. I think it's going to be way worse, actually.
Yeah.
It's good. I think they're really going to struggle, but we
Yeah.
shall see. We shall see. Maybe, I mean, their run game could be electric. They have great running backs with a running quarterback. I could see that being an issue. I mean, to be honest with you, I could see that being an issue. The run defense is probably the number one concern I have going into this year. Am I wrong on thinking that? It's not the pass defense, and it's not the rushing offense, and it's definitely not the rushing, or sorry, not the passing offense. So out of those four things, I mean, to me, it seems like it's the rushing, how we do against the run. So it should be interesting, Devin. It should be very, very interesting. And also, Edric is like half back, half not back. He'll be obviously fully back by the season, but I was told he was very limited today. That's just the
Yeah.
small reporting. I heard he's healthy, but very limited. So
Yeah.
we'll
Yeah.
see. And he's a yeah. Go.
When you're dealing with a talented team like Ohio State, it's almost like, you got to pick one. What area of this team are you worried about the most? That you're always going to have an answer. It's just at what level, right, is that answer? And I've always been of the opinion that that has always been exaggerated a little bit for multiple reasons. I don't need to get into it, but what do I mean by what is being exaggerated? What I mean is, right, it started with, hey man, where's our lack at defense, or where's our depth at defensive end? Then it switched to defensive tackle, then back to defensive end. Now we're back on defensive tackle. And all those opinions were being formed a while ago, before spring training, before fall camp, all that. And I just continually said, hey, look, man, these guys, they still have the opportunity to change their body, to change their attitude, to do those things and become those players that we need them to become. The Buckeyes did not go pick up a defensive tackle in the portal. Now, they found a way to grab some pretty good defensive ends, didn't they? Okay, so we can't say that defensive tackles are too expensive for the Buckeyes, because so were defensive ends, but they found a way to do it. Why? Because that's where they needed the depth. They went and got it. They felt pretty confident with defensive tackle. Well, I've continually spoken with somebody pretty close, right, to the defensive line, and they started off kind of like a lot of Buckeye fans with, "Hey, I'm a little bit worried. We'll have to see what happens." But the more things have went on, the more we've heard about Will Smith Jr., Taiwan Malone, Eric Mensah stepping up into these roles that there had to be roles, man. Somebody had to do it. It wasn't an option. It was next man up mentality. We always hear the coaches and the Buckeyes talk about that. But the question is there time, and are they going to do it? And the more I hear, man, the more I see that happening. These guys are at least stepping up. They're embodying that role of this team. They are aware of that. And players like Will Smith, Junior for sure is being, talked about as having one of the best fall camps of any defensive lineman. So, I mean, you got some people stepping up, and then you got some other players who's been mentioned a couple times, and that's Eric Mensah. And then, we see Jason Moore getting interviewed. So we'll see, man. We'll see if some of these defensive guys can show up, defensive tackles specifically can show up when it's game time, when it matters, because in a sense, practice and scrimmages and all that, it don't matter, man. What do you do when you get that opportunity in the game? And we'll see. We had a lot of questions about Austin Saraveld and our depth at offensive line last year, didn't we? Before the season, how many people would have said they felt confident with what we ended up at offensive line? Let me remind you, very, very few of you guys, including me, were comfortable with our depth at offensive line last year. And that depth turned out to be the national title winning depth. So I couldn't have been more wrong. So it's possible, right, for these backup defensive tackles to step up. We've seen Buckeyes do it before. We know the culture. We know the brotherhood. We know the coaches. I mean, golly, they are just set up to step up. They're set up to step up and prove what needs to be proven. So I'm going to continue to have that faith that somewhere along the line in this season, one of these Buckeyes is going to grasp hold, man. We heard Luke Montgomery's story, a little lacking that confidence a little bit. Then he got in, realized he can do it, and boom, man, he's been a freaking freight train since then. So, man, when these Buckeyes recruit, they recruit those kind of people. That's why they recruit them, for these moments, man, for moments when somebody's got to dig down tough, get rid of their pride, not listen to what's being said, and just work, and earn, and earn, and earn. And I think that's what these Buckeyes are going to do, man. That's just specifically on the defensive line. But all that being said, like you said, Funky, we just got to wait and see, man. But let me ask you a question. Are we going to have to wait and see on this safety battle? That's my question for you. What you got for us there? Unless you have anything to add about my little spiel I just went on.
Well, I'll just say when the bolts are flying, people look different. So that's why you see a lot of jobs lost, not just in spring or not just in the fall camp, but in the first 3 weeks of the year. So I don't believe for a second the team that we see out there week 1 on the first play of the game versus Texas is going to be the same team that we see week 4, week 5, week 6. And I can almost guarantee you that there will be multiple people probably losing their jobs, probably 2 or 3 losing their jobs total. I don't know that, but I just know the competition we have on this team, and just people look different. And every year you lose some to injury, you lose some to just not playing well, maybe banged up a little bit. We saw Luke Montgomery didn't get his first reps until the Tennessee game. Then he ends up being a complete stud. So there's studs everywhere. There's hidden gems everywhere, and I just trust the coaches on that one. And to get on to the safety battle forever, I didn't really have much information on if it would be Malik Hartford or Jalen McClain. We just knew it was a battle. We said that we told you all that it was the biggest battle of the offseason, and there wasn't much separation. But I got word yesterday, around, 4 p.m., and a part of the mini nugget that I released on Buckeye Scoop that I expanded on this morning, and it was just Jalen McClain is a stud. So reported that pretty much word for word. It said Jalen McClain, he's really standing out. He's making a lot of plays today on the scrimmage. He's having himself a day. And so I believe that I'm confident enough saying now that Jalen McClain is going to win that starting safety battle versus Malik Hartford. So I think him and Caleb Downs, if we run out with the 2 safety look, are going to be the 2 safeties rolling out there for the Buckeyes. And I could not be more excited. He had a heck of an offseason due to the week. Iron Buckeye. He was all over the place. He's been making plays now for a while. He's played a lot of football already. He hasn't started games, but he's played a lot of football. He's played a lot of snaps. So he's going into his junior year, I believe, Devin. To his junior, yeah.
Sophomore.
Oh wow! Oops, my bad on that one. Sophomore year, and
year.
he's going to be a starter for the Buckeyes as a sophomore. Wow! So these years screw with me. But Jalen McClain, I'm putting my chips in the middle, and you guys can come back to this. Maybe I fall on my face, but I don't think so. I think Jalen McClain is going to be the starter for the Buckeyes. Yeah. So I think that'll be the the last starter that we have to really talk about on the defense. Because now if we just go over the secondary, it'd be, Iggy and Devin, and then you have Lorenzo Styles, you have Caleb, and you have Jalen McClain. So I'm hopefully that
Hold
comes
up, hold up,
true.
hold up, hold up.
Yeah.
You just said Iggy and Devin?
Oh, sorry.
You meant Jermaine, right?
I meant Jermaine. Yeah. You're
Okay.
totally right. Yeah,
Just had to
yeah,
just had to check.
yeah. My bad, my bad. Yeah, but it's hard. Jermaine Matthews. Oh my God. Yeah, Jermaine
Yeah.
Matthews, Iggy, Lorenzo Styles, and Caleb, and you got Jalen McClain. So sorry,
Yeah.
little sleepy. Have some allergies. I'm staying in a hotel room, and it kind of like smells kind of like cigarette-y. So my allergies
Oh,
are,
good.
I know it's not
One of
great.
those.
Yeah, one of those. I know, seriously. So yeah, maybe I'm not sure you can tell, but my nose is kind of congested, and I was like, ugh, not feeling the
Yeah, a
greatest.
little
But
bit.
hey,
Now that you mentioned it.
I'll
Yeah.
I'll be up in college soon, so I'm excited.
Yeah. Amen, man. Well, dude, it's crazy because when I focus on these position battles, I don't step back and look at the overall big picture and what it means. And what it means is that you got two dudes. If there's a position battle, that clearly means that you got two dudes that the coaches can't decide, hey, which one do we want to put on the field? Now, what does that mean? That means both of them can get the job done. And that's what we're having happen here. But when we watch Jalen McClain, I think that momentum that he gained last year from stepping up and, stepping in with Lathan Ransom was injured. That momentum, I think Malik Harford had a little bit of an injury during that time as well, which why he didn't get it. Well, Jalen McClain did not waste that opportunity. And you built so much momentum when you come in as a freshman and you play at the level he did. And he's just carried that momentum over, into this offseason. Was he an Iron Buckeye or was that Malik Hartford? I can't remember.
He was an Iron Buckeye.
Yeah. I mean, dang, man. You know what I mean? And Iron Buckeye. So, but again, right, the news that we're hearing is both of them have had their days, where they look like they can play. And we keep being told that. I believe that was in the helping technicians little nugget today that, hey, both these guys can play, and that's the thing with the offensive line. You hear James Laurinaitis when he talks about his linebackers, he talks about three starters. He talks about Peyton Pierce, Sonny Styles, and Arvell Reese. He said, they're all here for me. And I think that's what we're starting to see in the safety position as well, is that they're going to feel comfortable rotating in Jalen McClain and Malik Hartford at this point in time. So I like that. That's good news for me, and I like it, man. I'm getting super excited hearing about these
Wasn't
Buckeyes, man.
sorry to cut you off, Devin, but let's talk about this for a second. Jalen McClain, you know what he was rated out of high school? Sorry, I just got a text because someone was a
A
little surprised that
three-star.
not just like a 3-star, but he was like a low 3-star, like not even
Oh
like
yeah.
not a 4-star, not even like not anything. And we're talking about him being a starter at Ohio State as a sophomore.
Yep.
Like, sorry, like I kind of forget this stuff sometimes because to me, I don't pay too much attention to where a kid is ranked. I kind of hear their name and hear stuff about them, and people always ask me for like talent evaluations in general, and I pretty much tell them that anything I give you guys on a talent evaluation is coming from smarter people than I am. Like that's just the reality.
Yeah.
Like this is not from me
Yeah.
watching film. This is from someone else watching the film and telling me and being like, this guy's good. Because these are people that are smarter than I am, who've coached more football than I have, who really do know ball more than I do. And then so when I'm hearing Jalen McClain's good, and I'm like, oh yeah, sure, yeah, I report it. Jalen McClain's looking good. I had no idea he was that low of a recruit, Devin. I'm not sure if my head was in the bushes during his recruitment or whatever, but man, we can get
Yeah.
a multi-year starter out of a 3-star. What have these?
Yep.
I mean, this is that's a big miss by these recruiting industries because this guy's going to be an NFL player,
Yeah.
and
Hey, dude.
he's
Hey,
sorry,
go
and he
ahead.
wasn't even projected to like. I mean, people are probably upset that he got an Ohio State offer in the first place, and he's
Yeah.
beating out, and he's a legit stud. Like I have no worries about him playing at Ohio State. Like zero.
Yeah.
I just don't. I do not have any worries.
Man, I remember following his recruitment when the Buckeyes were first in on him, he was like the 1,000th and something ranked player in the nation. So he was Eric Minta was like that. But Man, I think we're going to see a pattern. I think this is going to continue to happen more and more because as of now, Jake Cook, Jalen McClain, there's all kind of examples that you can use specific on the Buckeyes. Austin Searveld in their recruiting rankings, where I think you're seeing changes in the recruiting industry, and I think this is one of them because truth is more and more kids are just getting really, really good at football, but there'll always be a top 200, right? But the lower end of that top 200, I think, just keeps getting better and better and better because of how many more people are jumping into this and how serious all these guys are taking it. Like they can sit and see, like, hey, I might not have these physical attributes, but man, I can work my way up to that. We're finding a lot of more and more of that. That's why I'm just get less and less concerned with these recruiting rankings. Back in the day, I think you had more power to say, oh, no, he's a 3-star. We still wasn't 100%, but I think the longer this goes on, like there's always going to be a top 100. I just think the next 100 and the next 100 just keep getting better and better because I think we're seeing more and more players than happens. And I think the Buckeyes have their evaluations down better than any of these national recruiting places. I mean, that's not a secret. I think that's something as a Buckeye fan, it took me a moment to realize. And I didn't realize that until I became so passionate about recruiting. And you can talk to people, like you said, a lot smarter than me that will inform me, hey, dude, Jarquez Carter is not a 3-star, right?
Yep.
He ended up a 4-star, but he was a 3-star at one point in time too. And Larry Johnson's talking about him as a freshman. So like there just seems to be a lot more examples now than I remember there being in the past. That could be a memory thing for me, or I could be onto something. I do not know.
Yeah, and I mean another thing to bring up is when Kahar Wilder committed, he was like 250th in the nation, and people were like, oh, like excited but not really excited. They're like, oh, he's good defensive end kid from California, and all I've heard about him was, oh, this guy's really good. This guy's really, really good. And I reported this,
Yeah.
but when we were recruiting him, he's been in my area. He lives, San Juan Capistrano Hills, I believe that's where his high school is, and that's right near me. That's about 30-minute drive away. So I've been blessed to be able to talk to people close to him, and they told me how good he is and how freaky he is and how all this stuff. And then he goes to one camp and he shows out, and his recruiting jumps from like 240th to 30. like not, and then even that, it's like, how much credit do I really put into that? Like you saw this kid for 2 days, and you have enough things you saw him in 2 days of watching him to jump him like 200 spots. Like,
Yeah.
there's just no way. There's just no way. So that's why I think recruiting rankings are kind of a joke. And then you also look at the safety battle, and Malik Hartford, don't get me wrong, great player, and I've only heard good things coming out of camp about him, but he's one of our top 50, 60 player in the nation from my memory. Four-star, borderline 5-star kid.
Who?
Malik Hartford.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
yeah, he was, and he's a
top
year
100.
older than. Yeah, he's a in-state kid. Ranked a year ahead of Jalen McClain, plus ranked like 300 spots higher. And we're talking about Jalen McClain beating him out. And I don't think Hartford's a bust by any stretch of the imagination. I think he's been, going through the development process. And I think, he got here, he saw playing time as a freshman. And I think he will be a really good player for Ohio State this year. And he'll still see the field a lot this year. Do not get me wrong on this at all. He'll still see the field a ton. And he'll see the field a ton next year as well. He could play himself in the NFL draft. But we're talking about a 3-star, unrated kid beating him out, which is just insane, and just a lesson to all of us to not really focus on these rankings and let these kids grow and develop, like you said, with Mickey and the staff, and trust the coaches more than you trust any freaking ranking. Because these rankings, I agree with you, Devin, to the point where, are they worse now, or are we just paying attention to it more now? And it could be both. Because for me, I think maybe it's just I'm paying attention to it a little more. But at the same time, it's just that's a lesson for all of us.
I know. And then they're litter all over the Buckeye football team. Leroy Roker, another 5-star, and he keeps getting brought up as well. I mean, Riley Pettijohn on some sites was ranked outside the top 100, was not a 5-star linebacker. We always assumed that he would end up, but they didn't do that to him. And he's a freshman, 235 pounds, and he's like the fourth fastest 10 and 20-yard shuttle on Ohio State's roster. So shout out Colby, the Texas guy, for coming in here and watching, man. He said it. I sure hated Texas losing out Riley Pettijohn to y'all. Kid is a stud. Yeah, he definitely is, man. On that note, before I forget, tomorrow, 7:10 p.m. on Texas football. Bobby with On Texas Football will be joining us for a show. We're going to go over their roster. We're going to go over our roster. We're going to go over our thoughts, for the upcoming game that we have. And it's going to be interesting to get, the other, team's side and aspect of it. We'll hear any injuries that they want to talk about, anything like that. I know they've had a lineman and a wide receiver get injured, but CJ Baxter is back at it again, their star running back. But Funky, good show, man. Nevada and B Moses going at 7:10, so we got to hop off here. But don't forget about the show tomorrow. Funky, anything that you want to say before we get wrapped up?
I just thankful for everyone watching. Always very thankful. And laughing at the Texas guy because not just Riley, but also Devin. So two of the best freshmen we've ever had coming from the great state of Texas. So don't think they're not thinking about this game a little extra as well. But yeah, thankful for everyone watching. And yeah, if you want these, we post all this first on BuckeyeScoop.com. This is all being posted first on BuckeyeScoop.com and discussed in detail. So if you want to be caught up to date right when it happens, follow BuckeyeScoop.com. Go subscribe. It's where we break all this news first, and I'm on there, 20 hours a day, sleep for 2 hours, and I'm podcasting for the other 2 hours. So that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. And go watch B Moses in Nevada on next. They have their own intels. They'll probably go into more what the helping technician gave to us on the scoop, and should be fired to see what they have to say about all this.
Yep. Appreciate you guys for watching. I see people want to know a Brilen WAC update. That's at the beginning of the show. Rewind it and see, and we'll keep digging on that as well. So we appreciate you guys joining, man. Don't forget about that like button, that subscribe button as well. I don't think I missed any super chats. I don't see any in there, so I think we're good to go. But on that note, we appreciate you guys. We love you guys. Go Buckeyes. OH.
Yo.